everyone, and welcome. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining us. As you could see,
Hello, everyone, and
I've got
welcome. How are you today?
wait, I have
Thank you
my.
so much for joining us.
Let me turn the
As you can
microphone
see,
off.
hello, everyone, and
I think, Kristin, you'll need to turn the microphone, the sound off on your YouTube.
hello, everyone, and
I think, Kristin, you'll need to turn the microphone, the sound off on your YouTube. We're getting, bear with me, guys. We're getting, whoops, what's happening here?
Sorry.
You're going to turn can you turn the sound off on your YouTube? Sorry, we're having a teeny bit of technical issues. There, perfect. Okay. Teeny bit of technical issues. There, perfect. Okay. Okay, Mike, I'm just going to shut that down. Okay. Wow. Now you really know we're live.
That'll wake you up.
You're right. So welcome. I've got Kristin here. So thank you so much for coming to be on my channel, and I'm on your channel too. We're broadcasting simultaneously right now.
I've never done that before. It's so exciting.
I know, it's so different. And yeah, sometimes like it can get glitchy with, I guess, some technical stuff. But now that we've shut down the sound in other places, can you hear me? You can hear me okay, right?
Yes, I can.
You can. By the way, I love that color on you. That magenta. That's like one of my favorite colors.
Thank you.
If I knew, I would have wore I have a sweater that's almost exactly the same as that one. I would have wore the same kind. But anyway, I was thinking of you today, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear something like Florida-like, summery. So that's what I'm wearing today. But anyway, hi. Well, let's jump on the comments and just see some of the people who have logged in with us today. We got Laura. Hi, Kristin. You got some of your fans out there.
Hi, Laura.
Hey, and then Cheryl's here, and Kim Mertz from Englewood. These must be regular, and of course Judy. We know Judy from she's always with you whenever you're broadcasting.
There's multiple Judys here with us today. Judy K and Judy W. Both of them are regulars with me.
Oh yeah, here she is.
Yeah.
Good morning. There she is. So there we go. But anyway, thank you so much for coming and for doing this live with me today, because we're going to be talking about some of the how both our worlds kind of collide or cross, or how we both do our crochet businesses. And what I'm really curious about is, first of all, because a lot of my viewers are interested in crochet and business and that sort of thing. So I'd love to hear more about how you run your business, because I know last week or so I had a chance to chat about my business, and now I've got some pattern designers who are my students, and also some viewers who sell patterns as well, and I'm sure they'd be interested to hear about all the cool things you do.
Well, yeah, I'm more than happy to share. I try to share my life as transparently as I can most of the time, because like you said when we talked last time, creativity is expansive. You don't run out of it. And so I don't feel competitive with other people. Like you also said, I want to share what I know, because there's more than enough to go around with creativity and with sharing creativity with other people. So I don't have a problem sharing what I do, and which is interesting because some people do. And yeah. I try to focus my energy around people that feel the same way as I do. And when they don't, I just move in another direction, so to speak.
Or just stay in your lane. You do your thing, do what makes you feel good, and when you're doing what you love, everything just keeps growing and growing, which brings us more to what I'd love to find out more about you about today. Before we really jump into it, I'll just jump in and say hi, JS. Oh, some people are saying hi to each other, and oh yeah, hi, Care. Hi, hello, and don't forget to feel free to subscribe to both our channels as well, so you never miss upcoming content in either of our on either of our channels. Oh, look, one of my students here. Hi, Davis. How lovely to see you. Thank you so much for logging on. She is she sells mostly products, and but it's exciting. Anyway, let's jump in, because I'm so excited to have you.
Okay, so to start with, I've been in the craft industry for 18 years.
Yes.
And what's really significant about that is that most people don't last that long in any industry, right?
Yeah.
And the key, in my opinion, is learning how to be adaptive, learning how to change and course correct along the way. I think that's the most important thing. What I'm doing today is, in the grand scheme of things, am I still writing patterns like I was 18 years ago? Yes. But other than that core one thing, everything else is different. And everything has evolved so many different ways over 18 years. You just don't, there's no way, well, I'm sure there are ways. In order for me to stay relevant, I have had to pay attention to times changing and things changing, technology changing. And oh my goodness, how amazing that technology has changed in 18 years. It's allowed me to do so much more and to share my love of creativity so much more with so many more people, just because I was willing to learn new technology. Like, that's amazing.
And to build on that too, like it's funny because some things force you into new changes, and completely like adaptability is the way to like survive. So in one ways it's in one path you need to be learning new things, but then on the other path it's so cool that we're kind of like, well, we're like older souls that we've got these cool old like abilities that can be transformed into now, and that can be shared with the adaptation of the newness that is society today. And that, I think, like, fortunately, I think adaptability is a huge thing to do with it. Because sometimes people can know a lot of things. Like, I've met a lot of people, like especially in like my HR years, they know so much, but just being able to transform it into something is sometimes a little bit difficult for people. So yeah, definitely entrepreneurship, it super duper helps to be adaptive. And now you're like, take us through a little bit of your transformation over the 18 years.
Well, and one other thing I wanted to mention is getting out of your own way.
Oh yeah. Like
the overthinking is probably, overthinking's most likely my biggest weakness.
I think it's everyone's weakness. I think there was this interesting quote. I actually wrote it down. It's in my notes. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
I love quotes.
I know.
Hear it.
Let's hear.
I was watching a TV show last night that had nothing to do with any of this, and I was writing quotes down as I was watching it.
I love it because sometimes, like, I read a lot, and you probably do too.
To remember.
Yeah, you like, and when sometimes quotes will hit me, I'm like, I gotta write it down, or else in one spot, or else I'm never ever going to remember it. But
there's power in writing it. There's really power in writing whatever you're feeling. Putting it on paper is very powerful, in my opinion.
Thank you. Yes, and you've said that to me too. You're like, Karen, just get your thoughts on paper and then do your blogging. And I used to blog and absolutely love it, but because I got into more of the realm of YouTubing, I'm like, I know how much I loved it. I just have to get back in the groove of it. Here's the quote. So many people choose a path of fear disguised as practicality. And that's a quote from Jim Carrey. And because I know, and it was like, that is so true. Like, he took the leap out of like, and he had some seriously hard salad days, right? Like you and I have. And that, like, the practicality, sometimes you're like, I had the choice at some point to stay very practical in a government job that I didn't totally dislike. It was not bad, right? But it's like, am I going to take the leap into entrepreneurship, which is hard? It is hard. You gotta like submit to getting out of your way constantly, and then also to eating your mistakes and using, but like, if you can eat your mistakes and transform them into gifts, find the opportunity of it being a gift in every single chance, then you will continue on like you have for over 18 years. Look at that.
Right. It's so important to remember that you just have to keep going. You don't give up. I mean, that's the easiest thing in the world to do. And that applies to any part of your life. I don't care what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
If giving up is an option, you're going to take, a lot of people are going to take it. And, I'm not going to tell you, I've never thought about giving up in 18 years. Of course I have. Everybody does. But you just got to stick with it. And so to go back to your question, how I've evolved over the 18 years, I can give you it would take too long to go into that in detail, but just a real quick overview is that I became an entrepreneur not even by choice. Like I was pregnant and living overseas in the Middle East and not in a great marriage. I had a 22-month-old child. I wanted to get back home, 8,000 miles. I had taught myself to knit and crochet when I was pregnant. And I was just, something in me said, if I could just get home, I can figure out how to make money doing this and stay home with my baby.
Wow. That's balls. That's all I had to, I know. But so to put it lightly,
I was backed into a corner and I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I was in a violent place. I had a violent husband. I was terrified for my baby, terrified for myself. And I was like, knitting and crochet has really helped me during this time. Maybe I can keep going with this and make it bigger. And I don't know. I flew 8,000 miles with the shirt on my back, a suitcase, a baby, and knitting needles and crochet hooks, and said, I'll figure this out when I get there. And went into selling handmade at first and didn't have someone like you helping me along the way back then. I did terrible at it. I couldn't keep up. I sold really well until I needed to reorder. And then I didn't have the resources or the time or the labor to do that. And it occurred and I had discovered that people write and sell patterns at that point. So I was self-taught, and this was before the internet. So I wasn't really familiar, and I was in another country. So I didn't know about knitting magazines. I didn't know about crochet books. I didn't know about stuff like that. So I came home and I was on eBay one day, and I don't know why. And this is way back. This is before Amazon, any of stuff like that. And I had seen that somebody was selling a crochet pattern on there. And I was like, well, shoot, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to minimize it. I am a very experienced and very proficient designer in knitting and crochet now. But back then I was just like, it's just writing what I did and teaching other people. Shoot, I can do that. I don't mean to minimize it, but that's what I thought. And so I just started doing that. And I started submitting my designs to publications, again, before a website, before Ravelry or any of these other websites or things. And I said, I'm not even sure if I should focus on knitting or crochet, and just kind of threw a pattern proposal out for each one. And they both got accepted. And I said, okay, well, then I guess I'm going to focus on both. And I've written over 900 patterns at this point, 18 years later. I've published over 21 books. I've been on 2 TV shows. I'm up to 13 seasons on TV now. It just progressed. Like you meet people, you network. One of the first magazines that I designed for which was Interweave Crochet, just so happened to have a TV publishing side and a book publishing side. So they thought I was talented. They invited me to write a book and be on their TV show. So I went from writing patterns to then writing books and being on TV very quickly. Yeah, it was amazing. I'll never forget the first phone call. Do you want to be on a TV show?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because they said, we're going to give you a segment on Knitting Daily TV. And this was like 15 years ago. We're going to give you a segment on Knitting Daily TV called Crochet Corner. And years later, I've had discussions with other designers who have said they were offered the position first. And somebody said that they're like, I will not do it if it's called Crochet Corner. And that person said it's because nobody puts baby in a corner. You know the quote from Dirty Dancing, the movie?
Oh, okay.
And I didn't take it that way. I took it as exciting. And it's funny, you can look at anything 2 ways. That reminds me of one other quick story to tell you, because perspective is everything. one of my first seasons on TV, I was in a studio that had white flocking on the ceiling. We were in Ohio, so maybe it was insulation. I don't know, but it was a textured white ceiling. And I remember being so scared. This was my first time in the studio. And I remember walking around and thinking, you know what? It's angel wing feathers, and God's here with me, and I'm going to be okay. And another guest came on right after me, and she goes,
this is going to give me goosebumps, I bet.
I've got tears welling in my eyes just telling you. She goes, oh my God, it's asbestos. We're all going to die.
What the?
She was joking.
Oh,
right. I mean, she was gruff. She was a New Yorker and just had like a not quite a Midwestern vibe like me. It was more of a New Yorker vibe, which is great. Everybody has their own personality. But it was so funny that I took it as a positive and she took it as a negative. And this was back to back within an hour of each other. And it stuck with me all these years. Perspective's everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's totally. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is everything, because and it's funny that you took it as a positive. I find that happens to me often too, where I'll see things like completely different, but you probably have become accustomed to knowing that happens, and so do I. And sometimes I just, sometimes I'll just zip it. I'll be like, I know how I see things, and then other times I'll advocate for the perspective, especially if I think it could help somebody. That's why I like teaching, or coaching people, because and coaching people, because I know that people are just so talented, and they too get in the way of themselves just from out of perspective, and sometimes they just need that little bit of a nudge to be able to see things differently or see the gift out of it.
It's fear that makes people overthink, and with lack of experience, which is what we can help as teachers or coaches, what we can do is use our experience to help to guide them along.
Right.
It's the fear of the unknown that makes people do that. I'll give you another example, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, please.
When I was first starting on YouTube, I had wanted to do a daily show for years.
Yeah.
Years and years. And I talked about it. And I can't remember if I had the ability to go live right away or not, but I talked about it all the time, almost daily. I need to go live. And I'd say, oh no, nobody wants it. Nobody wants to see that. And what am I going to talk about? And then it took me years to push the button the first time. And the first time I did, I said, you know what? Maybe no one's going to show up, and maybe I'll just sit here all by myself, and that's okay. 1,068 episodes later now. Ooh. I've been live for 30 minutes a day for almost daily for years. And I've made such a difference in so many people's lives because of it. And I could have started earlier, but it wasn't my time. You need to let go of that stuff too. You can't dwell on the fact, I wish I'd have done this sooner. Everything happens at the right time.
It totally does. It's divine timing. And it's and I apologize. I know I end up sorry about my nose. It always runs, just so y'all know. But my nose always runs. But it is divine timing. But the platform itself, thank God for YouTube, because as entrepreneurs, we have a platform that we can jump on. And thank goodness, I think the makers of YouTube too do a good job with mitigating what they see is happening in other platforms, and they make a pretty nice environment for people who are creative to be able to share on a daily basis. And good for you for consistency and being able to put things out there on a daily basis. I admire your being on every day. At one point, I remember we were chatting and you were like, oh, I would love my own show. You already have you have your own show. The thing is, now we don't have to ask to be published. We're on there. And it's funny because oftentimes we'll have more viewers than some broadcasters will get airing similar content at the, that's why. But of course,
it's a dream come true. No question.
Right. Well, network, of course, I wouldn't know, but I'm assuming the pay is better with network, right? But
of course, because you've got the advertising, right? So yeah, if you could be on TV, there's so much more advertising on a major network. So there's more money to go around. But if you can grow your YouTube channel, there's advertising there too. I mean, sky's the limit as an entrepreneur. And I think that's why I think that's why I'm so passionate about being an entrepreneur, because the sky's the limit. There is no limit to how big or how exciting or how far you can go with anything. And that's always been the excitement that drives me.
You know, I'm curious, if you don't mind me asking, and share as much as you'd like to, or whatever. But have you lately pitched to any networks?
No, in fact, going back to, oh, I just lost my screen.
Okay.
Going back to what you had said just a couple minutes ago, I actually switched from traditional publishing to self-publishing even 10 books ago. And that was one of the most exciting things that I've learned on my own. But I do wonder sometimes if, because of the body of work that I have now, and because of how much experience I have between live and recording and, publishing and everything else, if I might be missing the boat on some financial gains by proposing something to traditional networks or traditional publishing. I don't know. It's something that I think about in the back of my head. But I love the creative control of doing everything myself.
Exactly. But like, I mean, look at I don't know if you follow her, but Lily Singh, she ended up with her own talk show, right? And she started on YouTube as well as like a comedian.
Yeah.
But
I love her. I watched her masterclass.
Oh, lovely. I love her. Okay. So yeah, like I'm not sure if she pitched or they offered, but just
if you build it, they will come. And I think about that all the time too, where I'm presenting. I think every day is the opportunity to present your body of work to everybody. And that talks about professionalism, right? I am professional every single day when I'm working. My work ethic is one of the most important things in the world to me. It's what I'm most proud of, is the fact that I'm consistent and I have excellent work ethic. And because of that, I'm hoping that will show through to someone else at some point.
True. You know what though? Only from just things I've like witnessed and experienced along the way too. I think there's opportunity for you, and I can't help it. I'm going to jump into that because I'm like, it's some stuff we didn't say we're going to mention, but like, I honestly think that if you have an idea of how it would be positioned for your show to be on a network, you should consider pitching it in different ways to different and I would start with like Bravo, HGTV, like maybe even like if I were to try it, I might even I would have tried CBC, but I'm not sure that's the route I want to go. And you have enough
you hire a publicist though? Like I feel
you don't necessarily need to hire a publicist. Like you have enough contacts in the industry that you could find your way to the person who could help you. Like even if you have you had any of your patterns of products or kits sold on like a shopping channel or anything like that? No. Okay. I would try that because that gets you on TV, and sometimes they do segments. And then, but I remember I met producers for like Bravo and HGTV at different like Hollywood events too. It's not that hard to get close to them. You just have to, let me just, I'm going to pull this up while I can, because once I get in the mode of like, I see potential.
While you're pulling it up, I'll talk about something else.
Yeah. Let me just tell you, the company name is Launch Grow Joy. And I will put the link here in the bottom.
Launch what?
Launch Grow Joy. And her name is Andrea. And you can purchase, her service is $50 a month, and you can purchase membership with her. And she tells you who to pitch for what seasons, for what type of thing.
Oh, okay.
So she has contact with Oprah and like Shopping Channel, Real Simple, like every publication. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, if you're looking for a television network, the process isn't that much different. And she also provides the templates of how to pitch it. But really, when you I don't know, have you sold physical products in person?
Like at trade shows?
Yes, you have. I remember it's not that much different than that.
I'm a great promoter.
Oh yeah.
I love standing in front of a booth, and I'm fine talking to people live. Like I have no issue whatsoever with talking to people live.
Just you need to use whatever and every route you can to find your way into, so that, and like an editor can, like the editor of the show can like consider your pitch. Like for example, I pitched a story to the news once and it got turned down, right? And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But like literally the reporter must have been in a slow news day, but maybe they were like, hey, let's angle it like this.
But that's okay. They have slow news days, and what a great way in.
Yeah, exactly. I found a way in,
Yeah.
and then I had a segment on me for that show. So like it's the same thing. Like even when I met people like from Bravo, Disney, I didn't have a concept for them, but I'm like, wow, it's really not that hard to meet people because they are always looking to hear the idea. Just like you and I have a YouTube channel, and if we met a talented crocheter in some sort of realm and we're like, oh my gosh, you know what, I would love to hear about how you do that, come on my show. Everybody's looking for like an original angle. So if you pitch your show in an original way to a network, there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to consider it or adapt it. So, and it with enough poop, like that saying, throw enough poop on the wall, something sticks. It always sticks, or something that will stick.
But yes.
Yeah, that saying, but like, yeah. So, but anyway, I'm not like, I don't think that your idea of having a network show is that far off. So I would consider, or even Good Morning America, I would highly consider pitching them, even if it was just like a once a week segment on crafting or something like that.
Well, I remember when Drew Barrymore had Jonah's hands on as her creative, and I was like, oh my god, and first of all, I know Jonah, so I was super happy for him, but at the same time I was like, I love Drew Barrymore, I would love to be her creative consultant or her crafting consultant.
But what is it that you think that a publicist does that you can't do that you've already done, right?
Not overthink it, number one.
Right.
Like, I'll tell you one of the things which it's going to sound really dumb to you when I say it, because I know it means nothing. And if you said it to me in reverse, I would tell you it means nothing. But you know how we are our own worst critic. I'm waiting to hit 100,000 subs to think that I can promote myself to somebody. And I know.
Okay, that's so hilarious. You're funny because I don't think
I'm 300 away from it now. So I'm like, okay, well, does that mean so you know what? It doesn't mean anything. Because it means I'll come up with a different excuse.
I would use myself as an example, and I don't think anyone's opinion about like themselves or what they're doing or anyone does is dumb, because like I seriously don't judge. But like if you're like, okay, you're sad because you're not at 100. I'm like at 5,000, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway.
It means nothing. It means nothing. Because the content is king. It doesn't matter how many people are watching. And I don't mean that I don't worry about that number in general. I only worry about it when I want to present myself to other people. That's the only time that it means something to me. Otherwise, and going back to what you said earlier, you were talking about how much you love YouTube and love this opportunity. I say it all the time on my live show, even. Maybe not daily, but maybe at least once a week, I'll say, thank you to YouTube for even giving us this opportunity to be able to talk like this, to be able to talk to people all over the world in live stream like this is one of the most amazing experiences of my entire life. And I love the fact that I can I can affect other people's lives with my positivity, excitement, and enthusiasm for crafting. And it makes a difference in other people's lives just by sharing. And it brings me to tears sometimes. I get so overwhelmed with gratitude and excitement about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I know this is crazy too to say, but like, I'm not grateful for like the virus itself, but I'm grateful to the transformation that it forced some of us into. Because if we hadn't gone through like the recent pandemic, I probably wouldn't have a program helping others. And there wouldn't be a course of action, because I was teetering along doing like planning it, and then when it was like boom, you have almost no retailers now. Then I was like, I need option. Like I need to do something. I need. Now's the time for me to share. Now's the time for me to invest some time. Like I've got time in my hands now because I have way fewer orders and no shows. What am I gonna do? And I'm like, instead of getting in my head in difficult space, I'm gonna put everything I intended onto like into my course program. And that's how it really grew because I had the time to invest into it. So yes, having gratitude
Yeah.
in all things, that even when it seems like what the heck, like your transformation, like going from one country to another with a child and just the clothes on your back, like it's like devastating. But then at the same time, it's like, whoa, like you like the universe squeezed you into a place that you needed to be, you know?
Right. And it's
So
not something I would have even thought. I hadn't even thought about it. I hadn't even knitted or crocheted before then. Like I had one lesson with my grandma when I was 8, and I didn't even remember it. Like one hour afternoon. So I mean, we're talking now 30 years old, and just newly teaching myself. It's I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know how it happened.
yeah.
It was just, necessity's the mother of invention.
Oh yes, because sometimes it's divine timing, and
Yeah.
it was time for you. And look where you've come over the last 18 years, from like designer to publishing, from like to pattern books to like self publishing, and now YouTube and continuing your publishing. I know so many people can learn so many things. Now let me go to my notes to ask some things that like I know my students would be very curious about and have asked about too. Um, um like designing for, let's start with uh this is I'm curious about, what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't doing this?
Like if I had never done it at all, or if I had to end today.
Yeah, if you had to end today.
Oh gosh. Well, you know what? That's the age old question, right? Because anytime I'm in a transitional period and I'm like, what am I doing? Is this going to work out? And I'm scared. And should I be doing this at all? There are times like that when I'll say, well, what the heck else could I be doing? And you know what it comes back to? It comes back to the fact that I am excellent at creating content. One of my weaknesses is marketing. And it's
You
I
think it is, but
I think it is.
and I'm looking at you, I'm like, it's not, but like good for you for always
I
wanting
have
to
an
try.
example though. I have
Yeah,
an
okay,
example,
okay.
and it's something that you said to me in our interview a couple weeks ago that has been sitting with me ever since. And you were talking about the fact that when you had the opportunity to sell your hats, your luxury handmade hats, to the Golden Globes, and you had then the opportunity to take photos of your hats with all those celebrities, and you said, I could have come home and just put them on my social media and left it there. But you took the time and the energy to share it with your local news. And that's where you gained so much traction. It wasn't even so much from that article, but with other publications picking it up and it going further. I had the opportunity to interview Vanna White, probably the most famous crocheter in the world, on my YouTube channel. I think it was during the pandemic, but maybe a year or 2 years ago. And I didn't do anything with it.
And you still can.
What would I do now? Like, I don't even know. It's not even new, but I should have, right? I should have gone to the news and said, hey, look at this.
Mhm.
And I've thought about that. And I'm not trying to beat myself up about it. I don't mean it that way, even though sometimes. But I'm sitting here going, I have to wrap my head around the fact that how and why did you think to do that and not do it the way I did? Like I sit here and I think about that sometimes.
Mhm.
What didn't process in my brain that processed in your brain to even think to, because it didn't even occur to me. And that's been surprising to me.
Okay. I know, I think I know now, and I can articulate it. So, I think it comes from my experience in HR, and I think it should be like, so for some, like, when you know something and you think it's kind of obvious to everybody else, but then it's just like, well, why didn't you do
Yes.
that? So,
Yes.
I found that
I do
for
that a
me,
lot.
Yeah, and I've found from years and years of experience in recruitment that I'd have to like pull like the talents out of people. Like I used to coach employees, because the employee groups I used to have were I had like hundreds and thousands of employee groups that I managed, of employees in the employee groups. And then they come to me, they're like, I want to get promoted, I want to actually transition to this type of job. And then I'd be like, okay, come to my office and I'll help you out and I'll see what you can do and all that. And I'd ask them, I'm like, okay, if you're looking to say transition into, okay, so say someone is like a secretary and they wanted to go into supply chain management, and I'm like, you could totally do that. Okay, tell me about a time where you have done this and this and this. And they're like, oh, I haven't. I'm like, do you volunteer in places? Have you sourced things for your children's volunteer programs? Have you? And they'd be like, oh yeah, I did this, and I found like 4,000 hats for my son's baseball team, or like they'll be like, and then I would find ways that they could pull all that in, put it into their resume, put it into their interview, like in their interview prep, and then nail the jobs that they want to, or get on the path for getting that way. And that's the approach I take to whenever you have a goal in mind. You just have to kind of grab from the different places. And I know we're not like, some people are not, and you must think you're so not humble, Karen, but like I too beat myself up for like, oh, that's not credible, that's not worthy. But it's you would find that a lot of your experiences are worthy. And I know why you want 100,000 subscribers. It's the same reason I wanted 3 boutiques before I could say that I was like a really legit business, right? Because you want the street cred so that other people will think you're credible, when like really you've eaten the nails you need to be successful already. You just need kind of like the stars on your jacket, for like the admiral stars.
I feel like that's what other people would want from me. Well,
Yeah.
for me to just be a content creator and independently publish my books and independently publish my videos and independently publish my courses and my classes and my patterns, I don't need it. It's, if I'm going to, I don't care. I'm happy just doing what I do for my audience. But in order for me to pitch myself to a larger company, that's where I feel inadequate, where I feel like I need it.
And you know what? It's interesting because from a marketing perspective, it's not that hard a perspective to create. And then you're like, huh, isn't that being fake? No, it's just being you. Because, for example, there were times that I never showed that I had my stuff on celebrities, and people would be like, well, I can make my own hat or whatever, that kind of stuff, or
Right.
I don't like that hat, or I don't know. But then the minute that I showed that I had some sort of credibility with like celebrities and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, that matters. Or even when you put a snippet of when you were on a radio show or something like that, or interviewed by somebody or some TV show, like when and you post it on social, you're like, oh my god, I'm bragging that I was on this radio show today. But like that then lives there forever, and when people see it, it's like, oh, she was on a show, like she got interviewed by this or whatever, or like that sort of thing. And that just creates the perspective. It's kind of like creating a photo album that people can view through. It's not like you're making stuff up about yourself, you know what I mean?
What you were saying in HR, to help people get another job, you weren't reinventing them. You were
No.
helping them realize with their own perspective that they already had the skills to do it. And I thought that was so beautiful the way you stated that I wanted to point out. You weren't telling them to reinvent themselves or to fake being something they're not. You were telling them to look in and see that they already had everything that they needed to do that.
Mhm.
That's huge. What a gift that you have to be able to do that for other people, because people can't see that about themselves, because our perspective, most of the time, we're our most harshest critic, right?
Yes.
I did not say that well.
Oh no, but that was perfect.
Right, you know what I mean?
Yes. And that's the thing too. Like, I think too, because I used to have a small consulting business when I had my firstborn. Because when I was on mat leave, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of bored, so I'm gonna start a small business with a baby. So why not, right? And so I'm like, I'll do a resume writing service because I'm good at reviewing those things and coaching people through interviews. And then, you know what I found? The people who gravitated towards me were people who are expats, like coming back from the country or new moms with like amazing, like CEO experience, but they're in their mid 40s now and they just raised 2 teenagers and now they want to get back into the workforce and they haven't worked for 8 years.
That's
Like,
tough.
yeah. And I'm like, yes, okay. Like you've had your kids. What have you been doing? Like volunteering with the parent society or like working through the church or you've worked at soup kitchens or whatever. Like if you can get some, they're like, but it's only volunteer work. I'm like, are you kidding me? That is like, what makes you think that that's invalidated? The thing is, the culture is that volunteer work is, well, the thing is, volunteer work is a hidden economy, and so is being a mom. Like if you were to hire somebody to do exactly what you did, then it would be you'd be spending thousands and thousands of dollars. So you have the skill sets, like you and I have the skill sets to be a digital marketer for any company right now.
Right.
You could be a publicist for any pattern writer or blogger.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's just a matter of like, what are the, like, if you look at the competencies of what that role is, you probably surpass what is required of like a publicist, of a TV show host, because you actually ran your own business. There are TV show hosts out there. I remember I met the lady from Entertainment Tonight Canada. Okay. We were at the same dining table at a function in Toronto. And then when I told her I had my business, she was like envious. There are people who like are stuck in their jobs that are like envious that we created what we wanted and that you can like from nothing, right? So yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent right there, but anyway, that's where it came from. Like I think it's because I helped draw out stuff from people who think that they don't have the experience, but they really do. Or I would tell them what they need. I'm like, oh, okay, well, if you want to, once you have experience in procurement, then what you do need is at least is to get the certificate as expediter and then work on your supply chain management certificate. And they'd be like, oh, okay, but I go, but you can apply for these jobs while it's in the process. Why can't you start making videos while you're using your iPhone? You don't need a fancy phone. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh, no. I still do all my videos with just my iPhone. That's it. That's it. I've never bought expensive equipment for that. In fact, now that I live in an RV, I don't even use my fancy lighting equipment anymore. I have such amazing indirect lighting standing next to the windows here. I think my lighting's better in here for free with Mother Nature than it was with professional lighting equipment at my old house. The only difference is it's determined by the weather.
Yes, you know, and it's cooler.
If it's a stormy day, I've got to wait to film, but that's okay.
Yes,
I'm making it work.
Well, you make it work completely because it's the content that matters too. Like right. I just redid this area of my house so that I'd have like a corner to shoot into. But oh my gosh, the rest of this area is just like, well, it's not pretty.
I put up a decoration, but it turns out that I sit right in front of it now. So
no, I like it. I like it. It's very pretty. I like it a lot.
You just can't see it unless I move to the side.
Oh, let me just hop into the comments. We're missing a few.
I know we haven't talked to anybody.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Let me just scroll. Let me see if anybody might have popped a comment in here that I might be missing.
Thank you, Melanie.
Yes, thank you.
Super chat.
Yay. Oh, look at that. Cheryl Becker would like to start a crochet business. Oh, gee, you know what I forgot to do too? I hope you don't mind. I'll put my banner in case they do want to book an appointment with you.
I wanted to mention that too, because I wanted to encourage everybody to book their free consult with you, because I booked mine already and I got my free consultation with Karen, and I wanted to give my little testimonial about how amazing it was. First of all, you mentioned the network stuff that we had talked about. The other thing is that I can't remember if I was giving you advice.
We ended up like bouncing stuff off of me. Like I love chatting with you.
So you were asking me questions about, I don't know, something that I was doing. Oh, maybe it was book publishing. And you said, well, I've got all these ideas and I have them in this notebook. I'm like, you have to keep writing your stuff down. Keep writing it down. You can do this. And in the process, you know how sometimes when you're giving advice to someone, sometimes it bounces back at you? You ever had that happen to you before?
Yeah. And you're like, I should take my own advice.
As I'm saying the words to you, I'm going, hello, maybe you should be listening to this too. And And so I started working on classes and courses after that meeting with you.
Good for you.
And I am really close to launching my first knitting course.
I love it.
I have a 5-part series set up. The first one will be launched soon. It's like I've gone on just gone trailblazing since my consult with you. The first course is almost done. I have about 10 other courses planned from there. And for the first time ever, maybe beyond just wishing it, oh, I wish I could blah, blah, blah. I am considering sharing my business advice in business courses for creatives. Thanks to you.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. And I love hearing things like that. Like it's this, like, I remember when people used to tell me like, oh, I ended up getting that job or whatever. I'm like, yay. I'm so happy for you when you're like, you have an outlet and it feels good,
I've helped so many people in beyond the people that I help normally with crafting and knitting and crochet. I can't tell you how many people in the industry have come to me and said, oh, how did you do this? Or how did you publish your own book? Or how did you go from this to that? And I've given my help for free one-on-one for years. And in the limited time that I have to do that sort of thing. And it just occurred to me through talking to you, I have so much amazing information I could share with people. So much. And
that you're going to take what you know and share it more. That's the blessing.
I can't wait. I'm excited about it now because for the longest time I thought, well, do people really care what I've done? I don't know. And I don't think like that very often. I don't know. Maybe
it's so funny.
My value. I don't know. We're all human beings and we all second guess ourselves all the time,
Yeah.
And we're comfortable in our own pocket of things, but when you think of things outside your comfort zone, you go, ooh, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm so passionate about learning new things to grow my business. And I have been for 18 years. And that's how I'm here, because I think, oh, do I need to learn how to do graphic design? Let's dive into that. Do I need to learn how to publish my own books? Let's dive into that. Do I need to get better at videos or better at SEO optimization on my website? Ooh, let's dive into that. And so I'm sitting here going, if you're that passionate about learning it, why not share it too? And I didn't think about it. I thought about it, but I didn't believe it in myself doing it until I talked to you. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And thank you for sharing what you know. It's funny. You're like, oh, what people care about that. And when you mentioned knitting a minute ago, I was like, oh, I'm going to take that course. Did you say it's a 5 series for knitting? Because I don't know how to knit. I only know how to crochet.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited about it because I feel like I've set it up. I did the course in 5 sections so that each one could focus on a project and stitches for that project so that you could grow with it. And then it took a while to plan it out, actually, because I wanted to make sure that what you learned in part 1 could be built upon in part 2. There's no break between them. Do you know what I mean? You learn in part 1 will apply in part 2 and then will apply in part 3. So I'm really, really excited about it. And I'm somebody that takes courses online all the time.
Me too.
I mentioned Masterclass the other day, and I love Skillshare, and I take classes all the time. So now that I've taken these courses, I understand what I like and don't like about courses, and so it was the perfect timing. I've been taking courses for the last couple of years on these platforms, and then talking to you, I'm like, and I haven't been able to wrap my head around. I do things live on YouTube, but I want to do courses, and I didn't want to do the courses live because I felt like I couldn't help nearly as many people that way.
Yes.
I want to do the course once and then move on to more courses. Yes. And so I had to get out of my head regarding the live component of it. And I still want to give a live perk to people that take the course. So maybe a once a month tutoring live. I haven't wrapped my head around how to do that because I want to still incorporate the live, but I don't want the live to be a part of the courses,
Mhm.
because the courses that I take aren't either.
And that's great that, and I teach that to my, like, a lot of my students too. Like, you have to build your business around your lifestyle and what your preferences are. And it's interesting that you said, like, you've taken a lot of courses, so you know what you like and you don't like. I built my course too a lot in that way too. I know that I don't love courses I take where they were like, here's the course, and then I'll throw you in a Facebook group and find the answers there. And it's just like, will I hear from Karen again? That is like, that I don't like. So I made my course very me contact. Like, I'm on every week with my students so they can ask me the questions that relate directly to them. And I love that you've built it around what works for you, because you are very busy. You have your publishing, you could teach the basics and in like a taped recorded series. And then you can also show your face, like you show your face every single morning, you know what I mean, in your show. So like, but if you dedicated once a month or once a quarter to like your knitting society or whatever you end up calling it, then that would be like, that's perfect. I think it's most important that if it's in what you can be consistent with. So
Well,
that's the perfect
learning
way to
as
build a
you
business.
go, right? So
Mhm.
in Patreon, I do that now. So in my Patreon group, I have different perks at different levels. So at level 1, they get a free pattern. Level 2, they get a behind the scenes live stream. Level 3, they get a handwritten note card from me. And then level 4, they're allowed a 15-minute video consult with me every month. And so I've already set that up for Patreon with a once a month behind the scenes live stream. So I feel like that seems like a good segue to do that once a month for my knitting courses
Oh,
or
for
my
sure.
crochet courses or my business courses. So I have all of the courses set up as products on my website now, but not available, just so people can sign up for a wait list for them. So if anyone's interested in taking knitting courses or crochet courses or business courses for me, Judy's sharing links
Oh, yes.
in the chat there. So if
You'll
you
be sharing links.
if
And
you want to sign up for the wait list, then I'll be able to contact you when they're available.
Oh, and let me just see. I don't know. Oops. There we go. Oh, I don't know. I shared all and it came up as your profile. Don't worry, no one hacked you. It's just screen share. So I put my I see there's a comment in here. Someone said, "This is an interesting conversation. I wish I'd known or had access to Karen to help me in my career." Well, if anyone has questions about like your career or growing your crochet business, then feel free to book a call. I put my link for a free book a call in the description below, but I also dropped it in the comments too. I don't have a VA logged in for me right now.
But they feel like they could contact you for consulting outside of a crochet business.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a world, a wealth of information about resumes and figuring out what to do after you've been a stay-at-home mom for years, or reinventing your career, or figuring out what kind of skill sets you have that could be applied from your real life to a job, or even a resume and then a job. So I would consider, I would, anybody that's interested, book that free consult, whether you're looking to start a crochet biz or not, because Karen has a lot of information about just reinventing yourself.
Yeah. Like, and getting back out there. I mean, conventional work is also like, it's great for most and all people, like, especially if you get in a career that you absolutely love. They're like, I mean, hey, if we ended up being employed full-time by a network, I'm sure we'd accept it. You're like, oh, sure, I'll take those.
I'd love a paycheck.
Yeah, I'd love a paycheck and benefits. That'd be super awesome.
I haven't seen a paycheck and benefits in, I don't know, 30 years. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's like, yay. I
don't know, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's interesting too, because my girlfriend because I have a lot of friends from the school board, and they still remembered me, especially the ones I hired. And they'd be like, "Oh, Karen, you're the only one who helped me before. Can you help me?" And I'm like, I should have a set up a way for them to book with me too, because that's one of the reasons I made the course, because I missed consulting people who want to change, like go into their working career or make a change. Yeah. Even in college, like university, I worked in the job center, the career center, as my work study. And then I put together panels about different careers and stuff like that. So I just love the subject matter of work and education, and then how people can that's my thing. I love it. I
Sure,
can
it
talk all.
shows. Your enthusiasm is infectious. It's
Oh,
amazing. I love listening to how I'm an enthusiastic person too, but I love seeing how enthusiastic you are too. I love it.
thank you. It's funny because my pastor just said the same thing. She's like, he said, I love your enthusiasm. I'm like, oh, thanks. And when I like doing something, I'm all guts, you can tell, right? But let me jump back to some of the things that I don't want to miss some cool things. Okay. So, Kristin, tell me about okay, we talked about YouTube, so I won't ask much more about that, but if it does, cool.
Yeah.
Let me see. Now, okay, for a lot of the pattern makers out there, how do you how do you figure out how you're going to workflow it so you could sell your patterns? Like, what's the workflow in getting it out there?
First of all, coming up with your style and your format, right? You need to know how to write in a format that works for you. And if you're new to writing patterns, take a look at the publications that you feel work best for you. Not, every publication has their own writing style and style format. And if you're designing for other companies, you will have to work into their format. Like they'll send you a style sheet, like whether it's to use parentheses or brackets, right? That's a style change. Or if you put a space between CH and 2 for chain 2, or don't put a space between there, that's a very specific style change. And it needs to be the same throughout the pattern, whether it's one or the other. And these are just two small examples, but that's the case in every style format. So pick one that works for you. If you're going to design for other companies, obviously use their own. Otherwise, pick your own and then be consistent, because once someone buys a pattern from you and they start being comfortable with your style, you want to make sure that they're not having to relearn your style every time either. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, interesting. And then how do you...
And that's just the beginning.
Wow.
That's just the first thing I can think of, but that's the first thing you need to decide.
And then once it's for example, say you put a new pattern out today, how do you get it out to your customers? Is it first you go through your mailing list first, or do you have a methodology of how you push it out to all of the people who usually buy your patterns?
For me now, I'm not new anymore. So
yeah.
I mean, this is something that I do now with, a huge body of work, but still, I guess it still applies. So, first of all, I decide if the pattern needs to be sized, how it needs to be sized, what's appropriate for sizing based on what I've made on, how I'm going to style it in the photos, and how I'm going to write the descriptive copy for it. So you have to write the romance copy for it, right? Why should somebody want to make this? Why should somebody want to wear this? So all of that goes into my process long before I've published it. And I might have made the sample at this point. So then I write the pattern and draw the charts in Adobe Illustrator, combine them together, get the pattern tested or edited, one or the other or both, then work out the layout in Adobe InDesign, which is the software that I use.
Oh my gosh, I just had another business idea for you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in.
Okay.
If Adobe, your Adobe, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew how to use Adobe. Have you ever considered selling your template layers to other crocheters?
Oh, I didn't even think about it, because
I would buy that.
Yeah, I have my style templates because I don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. I have a style I have templates. In fact, I have templates for top-down knit shawls for the charts. I have templates. I don't have templates for my crochet charts, but what I have is a stitch library. So I have a document that has all of the actual stitch symbols on it, so I don't have to redraw them every time. So I go and grab one and
that's a gold mine right there. Yeah. Gold mine, like downloadable templates, tech templates in Adobe.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think of that.
And then because even if you remove the guesswork of the number of stitches
so
across,
much work. Every aspect of writing a pattern is so much work. So then the template for the pattern, then filling it all out with the information, then turning it into a PDF, because it needs to be a PDF to be uploaded to wherever then you have to decide where are you publishing the pattern. I happen to have my own website, and my website's really cool. I have it set up so that you can have an account where you can have your own download library, kind of like how Ravelry does.
Yes.
So when someone has an account on my website, they have all their patterns there with 24-hour access and unlimited downloads. And you may say, well, why is that important? If people don't have a printer at their home, they can't necessarily print from an email at a friend's house, right? Or from the public library. They need to have access to the website in order to do it on another person's printer. And this is something that I've learned over the years. I get so many complaints. I can't print. I lost my device, or if I lost my device, I upgraded devices. I don't have access to the pattern anymore. So having it at an account, and it was an investment on my part for sure, but I love the fact that I have it there. However, a website is still a tree in the forest if you don't have people, right? So in order to get more customers, you also need to upload your patterns to more places than just your website. Ravelry is an option. Etsy is an option. There's a bunch of other places, and you pick and choose to what works for you. And they all take a commission, right? But it also allows you, through their SEO search optimization and your keywords on there, it allows you to get advertised on those other websites and get seen by more people, so you're less of one tree in the forest.
That's amazing. Right? And like when I think about how much people would like, downloadables are so, like, some things that are so obvious to you again, because it's like, oh, I just use my Adobe Illustrator template, and then I'm like, you've got a template? I'd buy that for $30 at least.
Really? Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of
another consult, Karen.
Yeah, because I look at, like, even in Etsy, I'm not looking to make things more difficult for myself, and I don't encourage my students to. So it's like, if you're looking for, like, I've taken a look at like Etsy line sheets, other people's Canva templates for marketing ideas. Sometimes I go on to Etsy as well. Sometimes I come up with my own. But if I were looking, like, I know I'd been in the market for looking for a pattern making software too. But heck, if you already have a pre-made out layout for a shawl, or or even like what I'm wearing now, like a short sweater or whatever, like, oh my gosh. And then all I'd have to do,
the back, the left front, the right front, the left sleeve, the right sleeve, the edging, like all of those need to be in their own separate sections in a pattern with a heading. And it needs
right there, like, this would be like, I'd say a $39 template, because oh yes, because then what would you do? You're going to sell it to a pattern maker who's going to sell it for, like, on their website for what, $9.99, $7.99. They have to make 4 sales to make it up. 5 maybe. Not bad. And you're like, yeah, it's worth the $39 investment.
I'm envisioning in my head stay-at-home moms that don't know how to make extra money, and I've always said, what could I teach them to have a side hustle, and to just go back to my beginning and say, hey, you don't have to figure all this out. Let me show you what I've done. It brings tears to my eyes. I would love to help people do that. And
exactly. Or then you just have to plan out the cable knits. Like, they're all just, it's simple, but then it's like, you just have to indicate, like, you should put in where you would change the cable knits, or where you would, like,
so maybe a pattern right too, then.
Yeah, like crochet or knit. And because one of my crocheters, she does everything in Excel. So I love Excel. You know that, right? One of my like,
for the math.
Yeah, one of my most popular downloads is my pricing template, and I just give it for free because I feel like just people need it, and it's no sweat to make a spreadsheet for me, right?
Getting stuff for free is how you get traffic. That's marketing and advertising too. Absolutely. I have a free pattern page for every paid pattern on my website, give or take. I maybe not be 100% consistent there, but for the most part, I do. Here's a taste. It doesn't come with the chart, but here's a taste of the pattern. If you just want the free pattern, there's a Google ad on that page, right?
Go ahead.
But if you just want the free pattern, fine, you can watch it there. But if you want, you can go get the download pattern, where you have unlimited downloads, access 24 hours a day, And then in addition to all that, one thing I wanted to go back to is I do supplemental video tutorials to guide people through the pattern then too, which is another way that I'm not only helping them to read the pattern and get the most out of the pattern that they purchased, but it's another form of advertising through another platform. I'm talking about the pattern and linking to it on YouTube then as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you like, because the wealth of resources, everything you've done in the past, oh, the things you could do, it's like amazing. But oh my gosh, we could keep going and going, but we're already past.
We'll do it another time then.
Yeah, let's come back again. I'd love
we
to
can
hear
talk more about pattern design. I'm happy to teach people how to get their patterns out there. That's fine.
Yes, and if anybody has like any questions about what you'd like to do with your business or anything, I love helping.
Like us to talk about next. Maybe there's another aspect that we didn't talk about today. Suggest other things for us to share, because we come from two different sides of the same subject. So I mean, there's a wealth of information here for anybody who wants to join us.
Right. Or even if you want, oh, you know what would be fun? If we had like somebody who wanted to hop on with us and ask some questions about their own, and do like a clinic with them? We could try anything, but like I know with that
comments, we could answer questions. Were there questions? I was not very.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I'm really.
What we didn't put it out.
I guess.
We didn't put it out there at the very beginning to drop questions with the question mark or a star at the front. So next time we got to remember that. So we're going to get even better at this.
We're learning.
Yeah. I just love that we're both like connecting with our passion to help others. And this is the place to be, y'all. So, but anyway. So anyway, don't forget to follow Kristin, and if you don't mind, follow me too. And then if you have any questions about pattern designing and all of her amazing upcoming stuff that she's going to be releasing soon, then obviously go on to her website and the links below. And if you have any questions for me or want to book a free consult, please, it's free. Let's chat. Hop on a call with me. I'd love to help you through anything you're working through. And until next time, you will check back on our channels to see the next time that Kristin and I will be broadcasting together. And Kristin, do you have a salutation for the end?
Something that I always say to everybody is, let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day.
I love it. Thank you. And everyone have a safe, healthy, and happy handmaking life. Bye. I love you all. Thank you.